Hello all and welcome back to the workshop. Today I have a Linn 5105 stereo amp that I need to have a look at. I don't have any schematics for it, so this one's going to be a bit of an exploratory visit. I'm hoping I'll be able to find the fault, but no guarantees at this point. Let's take a look. So the first thing I want to do is look at the behaviour as it stands. So on the back you have two amplifier units. Each one has an indicator that lights up to indicate status. And when I switch the power on, I don't know how well you can see that, there's a red light here. Yep, you can see that. And over here there should be another red light and there's nothing. Now I'm going to angle that towards you, and I have a signal generator here which is sending a signal through this, and these are the inputs. Now when I connect, keep your eye on the red LED. You see it's gone green, and that means the amp has detected a signal, powered on, and is now doing its duty. However, this one isn't even lit, and it doesn't matter whether I connect a signal, nothing's happening. Alright, I'm going to let that discharge for a bit, and then I'm going to take the lid off and take a look. Okay, there's a captive cable, and I can't slide the lid all the way off because the cable is going to be pulled tight. Oh, okay, that solves that problem. Now remember that this is the side that doesn't light up and this one does. And the good news is we have two identical circuits, one of which works and one that doesn't, and that means I should be able to do A/B comparisons with a scope. That would be a big help, but we also know that it's not powering on, so it has to be something pretty close to the power. Here's the transformer. There are two feeds out of the transformer, so this must be where the power comes into the amplifiers. The first thing to do is look at that. Then I can see a bridge rectifier here and 4 diodes, and presumably one of these will be the ballast for the power supply. There's a whole bunch of components, way more than you'd expect to see in a straightforward amplifier. And the power LED for the whole unit is coming off the broken one, which is why that one's not lit. Alright, next job, some probing around. input side, around about 46 volts. Yep, so it's effectively plus or minus 46. And on this side, yep, it's the same. So now this is good. That's plus 12 with some ripple. That's on minus 12 with ripple. Yeah, okay, I'm just going to accept that for now. So I've been probing around and I've found I found a missing power rail, but I don't know quite where it comes from yet. There's a 12 volt supply that goes to this pin, and it comes via this capacitor and this Zener diode, and the feed to the Zener diode is 64 volts here. And I can trace it to a rail here and then to a via here. On this side it's not working, there's no signal on that via, there's no 64 volts. I can't see where that comes from. Oh, I've also traced it to here. Again, on this side there's 64 volts, on that side there isn't. I think I'm going to take this board out so I can see the other side. And that's easier said than done. This thing is to be riveted. The board won't slide this way because this is in the way. So I'm going to have to remove all of these nuts and lift the transistors off the heatsink. Uh-oh. Yep. How clear that's coming through. There is a thermistor there, or I should say half a thermistor. Okay, that is going to need replacing. So our dead trace goes over right next to the resistor that I said was also doing very little. But it's going under this capacitor. So it's a little difficult to follow with these things in the way, and I think I'm going to take these out, or at least one of them, to try to understand what's going on. I'm particularly interested in this trace here, which goes to that point, and that goes right under the caps. I cannot figure out what's going on, so I think I need to remove that capacitor. So I'm going to just prove a point here. These rectifier diodes, 0.48. Yep, all four of them test with a diode, and then this way round, nothing. So they look okay, and when they're energized they look okay. But they feed the two capacitors, and one of those capacitors appears not to be energized, which makes no sense. Now, I noticed that when I took these out, I thought I'd damaged the board because the plating has come out, still attached to the pins of the cap. So that's going to need some repair work, but I wonder whether the plating failed before I messed with it. That would explain. Okay, I'm going to test these caps. (6913 microfarads, supposed to be 6800, ESR 0.42. That looks fine. Okay, here we go again. .6869 microfarads and 0.3 ESR. Yep, they're good. So So I'm now going to work on the assumption that the plating failed on this hole here. Because if you look, there are 4 holes, right? This one does not have any connections on this side, so the plating through doesn't matter. Well, other than the fact that we needed to solder it properly. This one has no connections on this side. This one has no connections on this side, so this one requires the through connection. And I can see looking at it that there's no plating in there, but that's because it came out when I lifted the cap out. And my theory is that that had already failed, and that would account for the problems I was seeing. So I need to replace these caps and find a way to connect through. Right, plan of action. Right, so I've cleaned these up. I've still got some through plate on this one here. Oh, it's not through plate, it's one of the solder pads. Okay. So I'm going to take a piece of this. So we don't need the plating here. Okay, so that capacitor is in. It's slightly raised, I mean we're talking half a milli, and you can see the tail of the wire sticking out just here. So that's going to guarantee a connection through. So I'm going to solder this one on, and then I'll work on this one. It would help if the other end of my soldering iron was actually connected to something, which it isn't. Okay, that's that one. Now this one, we've lost the plating here. But we need to make that connection. Well, here's the missing plating. I may just drop that on to help secure it, but I really need to do something similar again, I think, in order to get a connection to the pin. Just going to solder it like that. I need to check out the thermistor that I broke, don't I? Up here. Looks like half a thermistor at the minute. Okay, so I'm getting about 40, no, 40k was that? It's about 40k at the current temperature. And what do we get from the broken one? Which is here. Oh, miraculously, 41k, so even, it must have just broken the outer case off, the thermistor itself's alright. Okay, I should probably do something about that, but for testing purposes that will be fine. These all need new heatsink grease, but again, I'm not going to be doing any high current stuff, so just for testing I'm going to stick it back without bothering. Let's get this up. Alright, so I've gone handheld because I want you to be able to see the indicator lights on this amp as I power it on. Remember, the lights are here for the channel that was previously good, and here for the one that wasn't. This one was dead, this one was red and then changed to green when I applied a signal. Mains is in, power on. Okay. It's not easy to see, so I'm going to zoom in. Here's the previously good channel, and amazingly, here's the bad channel, and it's lit up. Right then, so first things first, signal coming in the good channel, and it's gone green. Signal for the bad channel, and that one's gone green as well. So everything's powered. And we have power on the front panel LED as well, which was dead before. It's fixed. It's fixed. Amazing. Let's hope my bodges hold. Right, I've got to do something about the thermistor, and I've got to put some heat grease, some heatsink grease on those FETs. So thermistor tests. I'll see if I can find an equivalent part. I think we're good to go. Well, I wasn't able to find an equivalent thermistor, so my workaround involved sticking it back in place with epoxy resin. It still tests the same as the good one, so that will have to do. With some new thermal paste on the transistors and the lid back on, all there is left to do is test it with some tunes. Naturally, due to copyright, I can't let you hear much of this, and anyway, after being recorded on a phone and then compressed by YouTube, this video isn't really going to do it justice. You will just have to take my word for it that it sounded very good indeed. But anyway, that's another one saved, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time in the workshop.